So this movie has to be one of the most mediocre Marvel movies that I've seen in a long, long time. It's not boring like Black Widow, don't get me wrong, but it is very run-of-the-mill, and it's kind of... There's no, like, progression in regards to characters or anything like that. There's no development. There's nothing really exciting happening throughout most of it for the main cast. I would say one of my biggest gripes to the movie is it's not really a Doctor Strange movie. It's an American Chavez movie featuring Doctor Strange, because he is very much the helper in this movie. She is trying to escape from someone trying to suck her powers from her, and he's helping her out along the way. I would say that the beginning is the best this movie ever got at that. So you have a different version of Doctor Strange dubbed Defender Strange, and American Chavez kind of running away from this like tapestry kind of monster thing, trying to get this the Book of Ashanti. And that, amazing. Absolutely love that whole initial scene. That was awesome. And then it kind of falls downhill, because you have our Doctor Strange waking up topless in bed, having a dream of what we just witnessed. And then we get another introduction. You know, you remember this character from Doctor Strange 1, you remember this character from Doctor Strange 1. They always go to him, are you happy? Are you happy? Are you happy? Are you happy? And it's just, it's kind of played like it's development, but at no point does it develop. Like, you don't have him going to himself, you know what, I am a superhero, and, you know, I have saved the world a few times, but it's not enough for me, you know. I need to have something that is my own, you know, like love or something, just to keep him going on a bit. And you never really get to see that. You have so many different things going on, like Wanda. She is suddenly the villain of this movie, and it's like, okay, I get WandaVision, like, you kind of set her up as it, but, you know, it was alluded to that Agatha was pulling the puppet strings. And in this, there is no puppeteer. She is the puppeteer. She is the one who created all the monsters to go after them and stuff like that. And she just wants the powers to go to another reality and be with her kids. But it's a bit strange, because she created her children. Doctor Strange says that to her multiple times. So if she wants to be with her children, why doesn't she just create her children again, you know? Yeah, but instead she decides to just try and kill America, Doctor Strange, and the whole Sorcerer's Guild. I'll call it the whole Sorcerer's Guild, because I can't remember what it's called. And, like, you have this big, burly Minotaur guy who's green, right? He looks awesome. And he's this massive thing. And when she was coming down, like, killing all these people, I just wanted him to just get a hint and just, like, smash her or something. He doesn't do anything. Like, he looks cool, but he does nothing. Pointless. Absolutely pointless. And then you're kind of dragged into another situation, you know, they're multiverse hopping, and, you know, you kind of get these fun bits and stuff like that. But it doesn't really pick up until they kind of meet Mordor, and Mordor's like, hey, buddy, where you been? And I really like that. I really like Mordor. I think he was one of the best things in the first movie, and the actor, again, delivers in this one. He is amazing in the role. Just the dynamic that he has with Benedict Cumberbatch is awesome. It's just really enjoyable to watch. And then you get into the next bit, which is probably, as much as I like the intro for the movie, I would say this is probably, well, it is the best bit of the movie, which is the Illuminati. Now, unfortunately, the trailers ruined practically everything about this. They showed Professor X, they showed Captain Marvel, and they showed Peggy Carter. And, like, you have, like, basically nothing to look forward to. That is until you get Mr. Fantastic and Black Belt. And, of course, Mr. Fantastic is played by John Krasinski, as a lot of people have been, like, saying and stuff like that. They should be in a role, and etc. and etc. And you know what? I actually really liked him in the role. Now, I'm not a huge fan of him. I think he did good in A Quiet Place, and he was fine in The Office. It's not really my kind of show. But in this, he actually really delivered. He did seem like the smartest person in the room, albeit he had one really dumb moment. But apart from that, yeah, he was easily the most engaging of all of the Illuminati. Like, all the rest of them were just there. We're important, you know, look at us, we're important. We're sitting on these chairs, dodging you, Doctor Strange, because you're a bad guy. And then you have him who's like, you know, we can deal with the situation. We can deal with Scarlet Witch. You don't need to worry about any of this, Stephen. We've got it. The only other person who does that is Professor X. Now, his introduction with, like, the animate X-Men theme and his yellow wheelchair, it's cool. Does he last very long? No. Neither do the rest of the Illuminati. But my favourite, aside from Mr. Fantastic, as you can probably tell, and Professor X, was Black Bolt. Because his Black Bolt is just so cool to see. You had the Inhuman show, and then you did nothing with him at all. And then suddenly he's here, and he's powerful. And he had this little gliding scene. I was like, yes! Ah, man, it was just so beautiful, and I was so excited to see it, right? The Captain Marvel was okay. Peggy being Captain America, she got a cool death. She got a cool death, but I would say that aside from the presence that she brought, and her, you know, if she wasn't, like, kind of, like, bigged up in What If, and her show, and the Captain America movies, I really wouldn't have cared for her. She really didn't do anything. Her fight scene was interesting, but you could really say that for all of them, apart from Professor X, who literally did. You know, like in the X-Men movies, where he's like always doing the thing with Phoenix, and he's like, you know, Phoenix, I am in control. I will work this. I will save Jean Grey. And it's like Scarlet Witch in this, and it's just like it's so meme worthy. Like, the amount of times that Professor X just dies, it's just so absurd. But I love it. You know, Patrick Stewart being back in a role. Thank you for coming back. You know, if he wants to come back again, please do. You know. But the thing is, as well, Marvel ruined it by not only showing these bits in the trailer, but also for the premiere, they invited Patrick Stewart and for some reason I can't remember Peggy Carter's name. It's gonna hit me as soon as I record this video, which is gonna piss me off. But yeah, the Illuminati was simply amazing, and I loved every second of that. The other standout for me was the Bruce Campbell cameo, because it was just out of nowhere and it didn't really have any, like, weight on the plot whatsoever, but I just love Bruce Campbell, and he just delivered perfectly. Like all the 3 Spider-Man movies, where he just shows up to cause a bit of mischief and then he buggers it off. It was very much in line with that. And you don't need any more than that. You don't need him to be some big villain or anything like that, although, you know, Wanda could have probably had something to do in the way of, I don't know, just something. Like, she was such a hollow villain that there really wasn't anything to her. There was no meat, there was no substance. Even the costume, like, I didn't mind the WandaVision costume looked good, right? And they changed up for this, which is fair enough, you know, movie, bigger budget, whatever. But it kept on, like, peeling off of her skin, and it just, like, kept on sticking out like that, and it just looked so awkward in so many different panels. I really think they should have just stuck with that one that they already had, and maybe jazzed it up a bit. But yeah, you have that, and then, like, she's in another Wanda's body, and she's, like, as like, basically crippled, like, this Wanda's body with, like, her arm and her leg is, like, completely like that, and she's, like, not even walking properly, and, like, she's getting so many things, like, thrown at her and just destroyed, and I'm like, wow, you've really ruined this version of Wanda, just to try and get Chavez, right? And, like, you get the big finale, right? And you're like, oh yeah, you know, Doctor Strange has to fight another Doctor Strange because we have to have a somewhat finale. And he has this, like, heart-to-heart with, I know she's Rachel McAdams, but I can't actually remember her name. Anyway. So she has, like, this heart-to-heart with Doctor Strange, and, like, they both admit their feelings to each other, but of course it's another universe thing. So for me, it's meaningless because it's another universe. It doesn't matter. You're not really coming to terms with how you feel or anything like that. You're just saying it to a copy. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have any weight whatsoever. Yeah, and then, like, you have this zombie Strange fighting Wanda, and it just very run-of-the-mill, very standard. Chavez, like, pushed her into the other Wanda's reality, and then the kids were scared of her, and then you had the 2 Wandas just looking at each other, and you're like, great. And then you have the Carrie ending, which is completely ripped off, because then Wanda decided she didn't want to live anymore, and dropped a building on herself. And yeah, can you tell I don't enjoy this movie? Because there's so many, like, hollow things in this movie that it just does. I would have liked Chavez to be black. I don't really have a problem, like, recasting, like, ethnicities or stuff like that. But to me, she's always been like this fiery black woman, and that's kind of how I imagine the character, you know. So to have her kind of be this kind of like almost white Latin, it just didn't really work. I don't know if they did that because, you know, we haven't got Latino in the MCU as of yet. We've got Shang-Chi, who is Asian. We've got the Black Panther crew, who are of course black, but there's no representation for Latins, I suppose. But you don't really need it. You know, you could have just stayed true to like the character and just had her being a fiery black woman. But instead, in this one, she's very vulnerable, which is fine. You can have a vulnerable woman. She is young. She is a kid after all, and I think the actress does a very good job in that role. But you know, for me, the character has always been very kind of like spunky, kind of cocky and stuff like that, and she just didn't really deliver in that. And like, you know, you have Wong being the Sorcerer Supreme, and I was like, okay, Wong's going to do some cool stuff. Wong's going to be awesome because he is now the head of all of them. And no, he just gets pushed aside, and Doctor Strange constantly saves his arse. Again, I like the bit with Sam Gura, the tentacle monster. He was cool to see, and I would have really enjoyed him being like the main villain, you know, going a bit weird and stuff like that. But for me, the best thing in the movies, apart from the 3 scenes I've already mentioned, are the deaths. I think all of the deaths and all the kill scenes in this movie are phenomenal. They are violent, and they are very, very horror-esque. But I don't know, they are horror moments, but unlike, you know, Morbius and Venom, where, you know, through the whole tone is a horror movie, this one is just literally, here's a kill, here's very violent, you know, horror. And then suddenly it's back to MCU, funny, jokey, Spider-Man shooting webs at his arse. Quite disappointed with this movie. I know a lot of people enjoyed this movie, and I'm happy for them. I'm genuinely happy for them. My brother hated the first Doctor Strange, and then he called me up and was like, oh my word, this movie is amazing, literally top 5 MCU movies, wow, 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 wow. And you know what, good on him, because, you know, these movies are for different viewers, you know, not everyone is going to like the same thing, and I am glad that a lot of people are absolutely loving this movie. It's great, you know. The last thing I'm going to say is about the after credits. Like, they were very lackluster. You had Doctor Strange kind of like having like a bloody fit on the floor, and then suddenly, like, next scene, mid credit, he's fine, and then like you're introducing like Cersei. I think it's Cersei, his wife from the comics. That's cool, and that's good casting. Yeah, but it didn't really have like anything to do. And then you're like, oh yeah, Doctor Strange will return. I'm like, well, obviously you haven't killed him. It would have been nice if you could have, like, I don't know, any of the Illuminati saying they return. Black Bolt will return in Miss Marvel. Could you imagine how awesome that will be? Because she's an Inhuman, and that if they don't include the Inhumans in an Inhuman storyline, it's just bizarre. It will just really, really be bizarre. Or even Mr. Fantastic. Oh yeah, announcement, John Krasinski will return as Mr. Fantastic, and just leave it like that. I mean, that would just literally just blow people's minds. But instead they're like, yeah, Doctor Strange is returning. Like, yeah, clearly he's returning. Yeah, this kind of reminded me a lot of Drag Me to Hell. I love the Evil Dead trilogy, love the Spider-Man trilogy, but Sam Raimi's recent films, I don't know, they just don't feel like they have the heart to me. They just feel like they're kind of trying to be what they need to be. But yeah, it's not like the worst movie in the world, and I know I'm rambling at the moment, so forgive me for that. What did you guys think of the movie? What was your favourite thing to see? Did you enjoy seeing the Illuminati? Did you think Scarlet Witch transitioned well into being a full-on villain? Please let me know in the comments below. And thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!